I headed to the hills after learning of my wife's affair. I don't exactly know why I'm writing this, but now that the events are over and done and I've moved on, maybe it will help someone. In February 2018, I stumbled upon a revelation in the mail, discovering that my 30-year-old wife was having an affair after 3.5 years of marriage. I held a contract job that required occasional travel, but also permitted me to work from home when I returned. Meanwhile, my wife held a lucrative position as the director of a technical sales firm. We had what I would characterize as a genuinely good marriage, although it became somewhat strained due to my frequent work trips and her increasingly demanding work hours. Going back a bit, I met my now ex-wife 5 years ago at a mutual friend's barbecue. We engaged in conversation, and there was an instant chemistry. Honestly, I felt like I was defying the odds by being with such a beautiful and articulate woman. Somehow. She really liked me for my rough around the edges persona. Once we dating after a few weeks, we couldn't get enough of each other and the clothes just flew off when we would meet at each other's apartments. We finally tied the knot after dating for 8 months and moved into a big apartment while saving for a house. After the initial 3 years of marriage, things began to shift. While I still felt strongly for her, I observed that she started picking arguments over minor issues. Whenever I raised concerns about her increasingly late hours and frequent work outings, she would get angry. Her rationale was that it was part of paying her dues as she climbed the corporate ladder. She insisted I had no right to question her given my own weeks-long absences due to work. I assured her that I could reduce my travel hours, and in reality, I was only going on trips for about 3 or 4 days every 5 weeks. However, our arguments remained circular and never found a resolution. In hindsight, I had no clue that my wife was involved in an affair. I would have never suspected anything if not for her persistently late work hours and the decline in our intimate life. I dismissed her fatigue as work-related exhaustion. Nevertheless, my self-esteem suffered from frequent rejections when initiating intimacy. I remained oblivious to the secret texting that I later discovered. Considering she had a company cell phone, it occurred to me that she might have been using it while spending extensive time in our spare bedroom, which she had turned into a home office. It was around September of 2017 when Kathy started coming home after work and then head off to a work engagement for the evening. This went from 1 evening a week to more than 3 evenings a week. I'm not that jealous by nature, but there is no way she would go unnoticed, and I know she would have to fend off some of the men at her office. Her focus appeared solely on work, particularly collaborating with male executives. My initial suspicion of her infidelity arose a month before the revelation day, D-Day. On that occasion, she made a stop at the store before returning home, and she requested my assistance with the groceries as I retrieved bags from the back seat of her car. I noticed something pink glinting from just underneath the front passenger seat. It was one of my wife's bras. I recognize it as hers, since she liked the ones from a particular apparel store. In retrospect, I now realize the reason for the red flag with the bra. When she gets in the mood, she always takes off her bra first from underneath her clothes. I don't know exactly why, but I instantly just had a sinking feeling in my gut when I saw this. I could not rationalize what her bra was doing under the seat. I just left it there under the seat. It almost made me sick, and my heart must have been racing like crazy because when I returned to the kitchen with the bags, Kathy asked if I was okay, and that I looked like I had seen a ghost. I shrugged off her comment, doing my best not to display any anger or sense of betrayal. Though I concealed my feelings that evening and the following days, I couldn't shake the suspicion. Determined to uncover the truth, I began piecing together the clues, realizing I had no concrete evidence except for the unsettling incident with the bra. We live in a fairly large city, and her work is in a downtown office building. I kind of took my focus off of the affair idea for a bit and decided maybe I should give her more attention. One Friday after work, I made a nice dinner, set up the dining table with nice plates, silverware, and candles. I bought a nice bottle of wine and a bouquet of roses. As usual, she breezed in after work, and I eagerly pointed out the dinner I had prepared. Instead of the enthusiastic response I hoped for, she offered a sad smile and informed me that she had plans to meet up with her coworkers at a local hangout that evening. While suggesting a quick bite together before she left, she mentioned needing to jump in the shower first. I think my insides flipped on me, and I became completely speechless. I won't tell you what kind of rage I was feeling at that point, but I had finally had enough while she was in the shower. I grabbed my company cell phone and planted it in her back seat. I'd been thinking of this lately as a way I could track her location with my personal phone. I went in and dumped the meal in the trash along with the flowers. She came back after her shower, dressed up and looking great as usual. She said, "Okay, let's eat." I told her, "Never mind, go out with your friends." She looked at me strangely and asked if I was mad. I said, "I'm disappointed by you never wanting to do anything together." She became angry and told me to quit acting like a child and that's something snarky about having a short fuse. I stood there letting all this sink in and said, "Foolish me. I thought you'd like to spend the evening together." For once, she just smirked at me and left in a huff. I took out my other phone and started tracking my work phone. Observing her stopping at the bar, a regular spot for her work buddies, which was about 20 minutes away, I made the impromptu decision to head out and find her car. Confirming my suspicions, Her car was indeed parked in the bar's lot. Sitting across the street in my car, I waited anxiously, feeling an unsettling sense of being unlike myself, almost akin to a stalker. But I rationalized I needed to at least satisfy my anxiety about her whereabouts, about an hour after I arrived. I see her coming out of the bar with a man. He looks like one of the execs I've seen from her work. He grabs her and pulls her close and kisses her. My stomach went into knots. My body went completely numb. They head over to another car and get in together. I do my best to follow them as the car pulls out. They travel about 10 minutes away to, you guessed it, a hotel. I pull over on the street next to the hotel. I watch as they get out and head hand in hand into the hotel. I've seen enough. I'm an idiot. I start banging my fist on the steering wheel. That's it. Something inside me went completely blank, and I'm not sure if I blacked out or had an out-of-body experience when I recovered myself. I decided I needed a drink now. This is when my life took a new direction that I would have never guessed. I just started driving out of town, just reliving everything I had just witnessed. Overwhelmed with rage and sorrow, I found myself driving towards the outskirts of town, covering about 30 miles. Seeking solace, I stumbled upon a quaint bar where I took a seat and ordered a drink. My appearance must have mirrored my inner turmoil, as the observant female bartender remarked that I seemed like someone who had been utterly deflated. I have smiled and said, "You could say that." A guy takes a stool next to me and starts up a conversation. I'm not in much of a mood to talk, but something about this guy just made me feel comfortable. We start talking, and after a while, the subject of my wife cheating just tumbles out of my mind. How? I just want to leave her and forget her. He looks at me and slaps me on the back. He says, "Buddy, you are not alone." There happened to me a few years ago. I believe that sometimes these things happen for a reason. And let me tell you, your life can now change either for the better or the worse. It's entirely up to you at this point. Something about him saying this really shook me out of my glum mood. I mean, I know I'm hurting, but I've always been able to see things logically. And he is. So right now we introduce each other. His name is Ray. He is kind of a country guy, but is just the sort of salt-of-the-earth type that I really respect. Ray inquired about my plans to move out, a question that had never crossed my mind until then. The realization hit me that I no longer wanted to be in the same vicinity as my wife. The intense emotions of fight or flight surged within me. Sympathetic to my predicament, Ray offered support and suggested a plan in case I decided to leave at some point. I've got a travel trailer sitting on my property. It's not great, and it could use a bit of fixing up. Why don't you come out and check it out and see if you could see yourself living in something like that? Temporarily, at least. I'll make you a great deal on it. I even have a nice piece of property that you can park it on. You would be doing me a favor to keep an eye on it for me. It might do you some good to get away from your situation. Just a thought. It took me a minute to register his idea. The bartender had been overhearing the conversation and smiles. "Hell, honey," she says. "If I could have escaped my crazy ex-husband years ago, I would have jumped at the chance to go live in his trailer. Anything to just get my head on straight. I feel like I have stumbled into the twilight zone. But maybe this is exactly what I need," I tell Ray. "Yes, I'll think about it and maybe check it out." We part ways after a bit and make plans to meet out at his place in a few days. I started to feel like I have a little bit of perspective and a chance for getting out of what I believe is a nightmare mixed in with a heavy heartache. Absolutely certain, I harbored no desire to reunite with my wife. Infidelity, a reprehensible act, had always been my unwavering boundary. Returning home after the revelation, I sank onto the couch, lost in my thoughts. Kathy emerged and inquired about my whereabouts. I turned to her and asked her where she had been. She says, I went to grab drinks. I asked her point blank, "Are you having an affair?" She looks a little startled, but regains her composure and says, "No, why would you ask me that?" I tell her I heard she may be involved with someone from work. She asks, "Who told you that?" I tell her someone that I know, but would not divulge the name. She just tells me you're being ridiculous and that I'm drunk and delusional and asks me where I've been. I tell her out to a bar to have some drinks with friends. She just stares at me, wanting to ask me more, but just heads back to our bedroom and goes back to bed. Choosing to spend the night on the couch, the weight of her months-long deceit pressed heavily on my mind. Sleep eluded me as vivid, painful images of her with the other man tormented my thoughts. Amidst disgust, hurt, and self-pity, a sudden revelation struck. The prospect of Ray's trailer. This idea, like a comforting beacon, offered solace. I must have something wrong with me, but with the pain I was in, the fight or flight mode just instinctively kicked in, and the flight part won me over the next morning. We don't speak much and go about the weekend as if nothing had happened. A few days later, I made plans to meet up with Ray. I met up at Ray's place. He owns a nice ranch, and the trailer is actually really nice, about 26 feet and has all the necessities one needs to live in it. I had traveled with some friends and one back in college during a spring break and really enjoyed it. I make Ray an offer on it, and he agrees to the price. I practically steal it from him. He gives me directions to his ranch property, and I drive over to check it out. It's beautiful, full of trees, scrub brush, and it looks like there are nearby hiking and biking trails bordering it. It's near the foothills of some mountains, and Ray has a small shack on a hill overlooking the property with water and electricity for the trailer available. Ray will tow the travel trailer to the designated site and handle its setup. In the ensuing weeks, my attempts to coax honesty from Kathy are met with gaslighting. Despite my direct warning that infidelity will sever our ties permanently, her response is to delve further into the affair, enshrouding herself in denial and perpetuating the emotional fog. The denial is so bad it almost made me laugh. I have no physical proof of her cheating and kicked myself for not at least taking some photos of the two of them as I go through this mental agony. I come to the conclusion that I want out of this marriage rather than let Kathy know how I feel about things now. I just start making plans. I started stealthily taking my belongings out of the apartment while she was at work and moving them over to the trailer. This at least makes me feel like I'm taking action. I did notice a change in Kathy during this time and has been acting nicely around me, but in my mind, too little, too late. As she continued her little company outings after work, I decided I too needed a break. In fact, as she was heading out for the evening, I also got dressed around the same time. She looked at me and asked where I was going. I just said I was meeting up with some friends. She started to ask, and I just told her she didn't know them and she wouldn't enjoy all the shop talk. This is exactly what she would tell me when I would ask if I could join her at one of her office outings. She kind of had a hurt look on her face and says, "Okay, have a nice time." I said I definitely would. Between working on the trailer and meeting up with Ray at the bar, I have started to make more friends. In reality, this situation has resulted in enjoyable moments spent with an engaging circle of Ray's friends and family. To maintain a healthy balance, I've opted to moderate my drinking, steering clear of potential pitfalls. Around this juncture, Kathy informs me of an upcoming work-related trip. The following week, I ask her who is all going and she tells me the executive team and some department heads. I just look at her and tell her I hope she has a really great time with her boyfriend. I kind of wish I hadn't said that. It started a lot of arguing back and forth. In a lot of ways, I wish I knew more about her affair partner. But as Ray put it to me, in the long run, it doesn't matter who the other guy is. It only matters that she decided to step out on you. She burned down the marriage. She can own it or deny it. But facts are facts, brother. Damn. Ray should write this stuff down and publish it for the betrayed. Her work trip provided me with the opportunity to move the rest of my stuff out completely. So after Kathy left for her trip, I gathered everything I had left of any value and put it in my vehicle. I only took essentials like clothes and work-related equipment, leaving behind furniture and personal items. Instead of the detailed note I initially considered, I settled for a brief message on a piece of paper. I hope it was worth it. Placing my wedding ring atop the note, I left it on the kitchen table for her to find. I felt a huge weight come off of me. I felt free. No more hiding the truth. I know I will have some baggage to deal with and some hurt to get over, but I have time to heal now. I just need some space and need to get her out of my life as quietly and quickly as possible. I'm not proud that I never confronted her more or pulled a confession out of her. I never got to yell and scream and curse her. After confessing, I had come to the conclusion in my mind that she didn't deserve me. She disrespected everything we had. Our future plans are history. We were saving for a house and a future family. All of that is gone now. No going back. I don't owe her a damn thing. She can deal with the fallout aftermath. I didn't have an agenda at all. I didn't contact a lawyer or anything. I just wanted to get some clarity. I really enjoyed my new trailer, and the mountainous air was exactly what I needed. In the following week, I took up running again, and it felt great to be alive. I never answered any of Kathy's texts while she was away. There wasn't much to respond to. They were just highlights, such as "we just landed," or "having a team dinner." She did send a few asking, "Where are you guys?" and "let me hear from you," etc. The day she returned home, my phone blew up with constant texts and calls. After the first day, her mother even tried calling me. There's only my dad left on my family side, and we aren't close, so she didn't try to get him involved. After the first few crying messages, I never bothered to listen to the rest of her voicemails. Her text consisted of, "What is this? We need to talk. I don't know what you think you know, but there is nothing going on. I'm not involved with anyone. I'm not having an affair." After a week of not responding, she finally leaves me a text saying, "I'm sorry. Things got out of hand. I was involved with someone at work, but it meant nothing. I got caught up in my work and you were gone a lot, and I just made a mistake. I was going to end it." Huh? A mistake? This was the confession I had been seeking all along. For some reason, it just made me dislike her even more. Why couldn't she be honest? This wasn't the woman I had dreamed of. Building a future together. And mistakes don't last for, what, 6 to 8 months or a year? At one point, her pleading for me to come back and work on the marriage became pathetic. She stopped bothering me for a couple of weeks, and I continued to ignore her. I didn't want her to extract information about my whereabouts, preserving my sanctuary. However, one day, she began sending me furious texts, accusing me of being a coward, stating that I wouldn't talk to her, and claiming that I didn't care about us. "Please come home so we can talk. Where are you? I can come to you. Damn it, Paul, please. Let's talk and fix things." I don't remember all the messages, but they all seemed to be excuses and very little in the way of apologies. I let it all go in one ear and out the other. I finally changed my cell phone number. Update June 2018. Kathy sent me an email telling me she had retained a lawyer and was filing for divorce. I sent her a reply that said, "Okay, sounds good." This resulted in a flurry of emails demanding I come see her and so forth. She realized this wouldn't get her anywhere, and after a while she just wrote that if I agreed to an uncontested divorce, she wouldn't bother me anymore. I agreed, and several months later, finally, I was truly a free man. I never had to see her after I left our apartment. No closure for either of us, but it seemed like that was more important to her than to me. For a few months, I did think of her sometimes. And yes, the pain would appear out of nowhere. If a song we used to listen to came on the radio, it used to trigger memories. However, eventually I stopped thinking about her. In an update, I can happily say that I am officially divorced now. Things are going really well. In fact, I've met a fantastic girl. I encountered her while out on a run on the trail just down the hill from where I live. I helped her change a flat tire, and we really hit it off. She is amazing and cute as hell. Though a few years younger than me, she loves my lifestyle and calls me her mountain man. I'm in no hurry to get serious, but I'm not about to give up on women completely. I'm still up here in the trailer. I have no plans to change anytime soon, and I've simplified my life quite a bit. I love the outdoors. It helped me get over my ex-wife, the heartache, everything. I know everyone handles these things differently. I was lucky to not have children yet and was only into my 3rd year of marriage, so I think I did what was right for me. You don't have to live your life with a cheater. If something like this happens to you, please just don't dwell on it. Just move on with your life. It gets better after you work on yourself. I wish everyone the best life they can have. Pete, you handled it perfectly. And Ray is a ray of hope. Your guardian angel, OP, shared a small update. I appreciate the supportive comments. Unfortunately, this story reflects a harsh reality. Concerning my ex, we haven't had a direct conversation since the divorce. I receive occasional emails, but I choose not to respond. While curiosity tempted me to consider replying, I refrained. However, approximately 3 weeks ago, I bumped into a mutual friend who mentioned that Kathy was not a happy camper. Unlike me, laughter ensued. She said that my ex had told her that I will always be the one that got away, and if she ever got the chance, she would try to win me back and tell me everything that went on. I didn't press the friend for too much detail, but I do have more info that I'm a bit hesitant to share. Now to the big update. Is my ghosted ex-wife possibly tracking me down? Just wanted to update on the situation I found myself in with my ex-wife and have rewritten this about 5 times to make it legible. As mentioned in my previous post, I was concerned that my ex-wife was trying to track me down in an attempt to reconcile or something. I had moved some 2 hours from where we used to live. I saw her last weekend in a coffee shop I go to frequently in the town that is near to where I live. I was suspicious that it was not a coincidence that she was there. Luckily, I was able to leave before she saw me. Update, I came back into town this past weekend to grab a few groceries, and went to grab a coffee in the place I usually go to, as well as work on some documents I needed to fill out for work using their free internet. Exiting the coffee shop, I headed towards my truck. Suddenly, I heard my name being called, Paul. Glancing across the street, my heart sank. There she was, Kathy, my ex, waving at me. It felt like the apocalypse had arrived. Stunned, I stood frozen as she dashed across the street, expecting a hug. Instinctively, I held my arms out with palms facing outward, and she stops. She looks at me, really hurt. She then says, "Paul, I have been looking for you. I heard you moved out here and wanted to see you. Can we talk?" I feel like a trapped animal, guys. I really did. So I relented and said, "Okay, let's find a table or something and we can talk for a minute." She asked if we can go to my place, and I just flat out said no. She follows me down to a bench outside a little shop at the end of the block. She starts by saying how much I've changed and how she loves my new look, my beard, blah blah. She liked how my physique had changed, how I looked so fit. She puts on a good act in guys. She looked hot. She had on these little white shorts and a tank top and her hair in a ponytail like I used to like. My radar was on high alert and I could tell she was really turning on the sex appeal. I had to really rein myself in here and see where this was going. She began with an apology for the affair, acknowledging that karma had struck her hard. Following my departure, her company discovered the affair, creating such an unpleasant environment that she eventually resigned. Her affair partner, who had a fiancé at the time, received a reprimand and was relocated to a different position within the company. Blaming her for his relocation, he lashed out, prompting her to disclose the truth to his fiancé, leading to the end of their relationship. She lowered her head a little and started crying. I just sat there looking around, not having anything to say. She straightened up and stared at me for a bit. I asked her what she wanted from me. She wanted to tell me that she never intended to start an affair, that she felt like she was drawn in by all the politics and positioning in the company, and thought the AP really manipulated her with his charisma and power within the company, and that she stupidly thought she was using him as much as he was using her. She was going to come clean with me, especially after I accused her of having an affair. She hated herself during that time, And the after-work drinking was her attempt to medicate from the guilt that right after I left her, she felt so foolish, so alone. Like her heart just imploded with loss. She immediately broke things off with her AP. She believed that since I wouldn't reach out or communicate with her, she had to seek me out to try and make amends. Her intention was to see if we could start over with a clean slate, even though she knew we were already divorced. I just stared at her, and then I confronted her, roughly summarizing our conversation. How dare you think you can just come out here and think you can just wipe away all the crap you cause? I'm to forgive everything you did to ruin our marriage. I told you before, if you cheated on me, we were through. There is no forgiveness. There is no reboot of this relationship. You killed it. You destroyed what we had the minute you stepped out on me. How stupid do you think I am? I followed you one night and saw you go into a hotel together. Do you know that? I then realized that I had been raising my voice and people were starting to notice. She started to sob. She grabbed my arm. I let her cry on my shoulder a little before nudging her away. She looked up at me. I deserve all this. I know I do. Can you at least let me take you to dinner or something? I don't want to leave. I want to talk more. I want to make sure we have everything out in the open. I need time with you that you didn't give me before. Please, Paul. I know you may not want to hear this, but I love you so much. She uttered. I didn't realize how much I loved you until you left me and shattered me, and I shattered you just as badly. I can't forgive myself. I don't want to forgive myself until the day I die. Overwhelmed, she began hyperventilating and sobbing uncontrollably. In an attempt to console her, I pulled her up and embraced her, feeling that it might be the only way to possibly soothe her distress. At that moment, I realized I did actually break her heart like she broke mine. I started walking with her, and then found a nice, quiet path to walk on, and things settled down a bit. I then asked her how she found me and did she hire a PI or something. She laughed a little and said no. She thought about it, though. She ran into Stacy a couple of weeks ago and she asked her how things were going. Stacy let it slip that she saw me. Kathy made her spill every single detail. Stacy didn't want to tell her because I told her not to, but she wouldn't let her go until she did. But all she really knew was that she saw me here in town and that I lived somewhere in the vicinity. So she started coming here on her days off to see if she could find me. She really blushed when she said that. I kind of chuckled. That damn Stacy can't keep her trap shut. So we did go to dinner. We found a nice little place with a patio. I made sure we didn't drink anything. I didn't want any excuse for her to soften me up or claim she was too drunk to drive back. Following our emotional exchange, we engaged in a heartfelt conversation. As I escorted her to her car, she expressed a strong desire to stay, persistently urging me. Despite her assurance that she hadn't been involved with anyone else since my departure, and that I was the only one she wanted, I firmly declined. It felt far too early for me to contemplate reopening that chapter. She begged to see me again, but I was non-committal. I gave her my new email address, but that was it. She wanted my phone number, but I told her, no, you'll just blow it up with texts and calls. She cried about that one. She said she would be back in town next weekend if I was interested. I didn't say anything to that. She said she will email me and tell me all the details of when, where. Before she left, I asked her point blank if she would forgive me if I had done the cheating. She sat there thinking and she said yes, she would in time, but only if we saw a marriage counselor, or if we could work through the healing process with lots of talking and maybe even a binding agreement. I considered her proposition, acknowledging that perhaps in 5 or 10 years, I might be open to revisiting our relationship. She agreed to wait if that's what it would take. Holding my hands, she looked deep into my eyes and uttered something unexpected. God damn it, Paul, I will always love you and will do anything to prove it, she declared. At that, she left. I'm still so shook by that. She said it with such conviction. I still can't see myself back with her. I feel better, though. Right now, I can't even see her as in friends with benefits. Maybe a friend, but damn, I just don't know if we could ever work out again. Don't call me a chump because second chances are rare in my book. I went home and had a nice long run and a few beers and felt I was in a good place now. Can someone guarantee me that she wouldn't ruin that? I don't know. I just don't know. It's too fresh on my mind. But I have the luxury of time to sort all this out and get some perspective. Now to the second update. Okay, so this will probably be my last update. I posted my story on Reddit, but the mod kept removing it. To recap, my ex-wife did find me, and we did talk, after over a year of her being ghosted by me. Her intention in finding me was indeed to reconcile and restart our life together. To those that wrote to me, predicting that I would be the typical BW pill fool and forgive her and fall back in with her, you will be sorely disappointed. She recently sent me a lengthy email expressing her love and remorse for the affair. Once again, she proposed visiting for the weekend. However, I firmly rejected the idea. I found contentment in my solitary lifestyle, residing in my secluded spot, and aim to keep my life as uncomplicated as possible for the time being. I have enjoyed the company of several women and friends, and at 32 feel there is no hurry in changing things up. I have my own self-determination roadmap, and I intend to follow it for now. So in answering her email, I refused to give her my new phone number. I laid it all out. I told her, no, I do not have any intention in reconciling with her. She made her bed, and I no longer trust her, nor do I know her any longer. I wish her the best, and will consider her a possible friend. Maybe someday in a future yet to be determined. My vagueness really frustrated her, so she replied with something very telling. She was, of course, thoroughly disappointed in my response, but she also informed me that she had accepted a job offer several states away, and her real intention all along was for me to come with her. She's aware that my job is remote, allowing me to live anywhere I desire. She believed I might entertain the idea of joining her, envisioning a fresh start in a new location for both of us. With limited time remaining before her departure, she was eager to meet in person and make a compelling case for our potential future together. Fortunately for me, I have to leave for business for a week, so our time is up, thank God. So she will be gone from my life now. I imagine I will get a few more emails for a bit longer, but in time, I believe she will realize her time with me has expired, and she will have to find someone else, and she may cheat on them too. Just thought I would share the update. So guys, live your best life, get rid of that old baggage, and empower yourself to move forward. Good luck to you all. Continue living your best life. Opie posted an update in the comments. Update. Okay, I've been bombarded with update requests, so here it is. I finally had enough of her emails. I told her I'm done with her and do not want anything to do with her ever again. No offense, but it was time to tell her to go find herself. Someone else. Who cares? I won't go into too much detail here, but I figured if I pissed her off enough, she'd leave me be. I think I accomplished that. I've received no communication from her in several days. Today I took the step of blocking her email address, and I'm considering closing down my email account if she attempts to contact me through another means. I appreciate the messages from everyone encouraging me to take action. I'm resolute in cutting ties with her. The ghosting is back. Browse. Oh. Also, some of you have asked me about the girl who called me her mountain man while she has been dying to come visit me. So I'll see her over the holidays. We will see how that goes. Also, have another sweet lady I just met, and I'm going to go out with her this weekend. Life is good. Fourth update. OP posted the latest update 2 months ago. Final word on this. I bumped into the ex at the airport, and that is where she talked to me about my Reddit posts. Not sure which one she saw since I had updates, but I'm talking a year ago when this happened. How did she find my post? A mutual friend who I shared my post with gave her the link to it. Obviously, I'm no longer friends with him as I shared this in confidence, which I thought I made clear. I now have a policy of getting rid of all negative people and drama queens I encounter immediately. Either way, the cat is out of the bag, and if it creates her distancing herself with me, then that's a great outcome. Otherwise, I have turned the corner. It's great to hear that you've moved forward and are living your best life. Experiencing and overcoming challenges can indeed be a powerful catalyst for personal growth. Wishing you continued success and happiness in all your endeavors. If sharing your story helps others reflect on their own actions and choices, it may contribute to positive change. Thank you for sharing your journey, and may your future be filled with joy and fulfillment, but it seems unlikely. If anyone's getting confused about the timeline, just know that everything between the main story and the last update went down over a 2-year span. Let's check out the comments before we wrap this up. A user wrote, "A friend of mine went through what you were going through at the moment. Only difference was he was engaged, not married. He ghosted her immediately as he found out, and her affair fog disappeared. She was distraught and went into severe depression for months. Missed him like crazy. Contacted his family and friends for months to apologize to anyone who knew. Most people condemned her initially, but she took it like a pro. I liked her, actually. She was friendly, funny, and was great to hang around with. Like she would actually make an effort to know his friends. She had few of her own while he had lots. She found him and apologized a lot. He didn't accept her, but they started chatting. He was loving his life career-wise, freedom-wise, and had lots of girlfriends. He told her that he had enough women for a lifetime. It seems like the person you're talking about was involved with women who, despite being attractive, didn't possess the same aura as his ex. Despite feeling envious and sad, the ex continued to stay in touch with him. Later, he revealed that he started a physical relationship with her without emotional involvement. One noteworthy condition she imposed was for him to be safe with others and not to engage in intimate relations with her, if he had slept with others within a week's time. So basically, he was sleeping around while she wasn't at all except him. After 2 years' time or less, I saw him with her having coffee while holding hands, while she was looking at him with devotion and adoration. I was actually glad, and when I met them, I was actually nice to her. Apparently, I was the only one who was nice to her when she came to me initially. That was 3 years ago. Now they are re-engaged and quite happy. She had actually changed. The thing is, she passed the test to redemption, according to him, which was quite painful for her, seeing him with other girls and her patience to be able to answer tough questions whenever he wanted. It appears that the person would taunt his ex about past experiences, perhaps outings or holding hands, during activities like shopping. Despite being startled, the ex would calmly respond, denying the specific experiences mentioned by the person. These incidents continued for about a year until he ran out of questions. So friends, I believe in reconciliation, but the efforts by the wayward spouse should be genuine. Good luck. Opie replied, "That's not the road I would take, but glad it worked out for him." Another reply, "That is actually a very, very sweet story. If my wife or GF ever cheated on me, The only way I would consider taking her back would be if she did something like this. Another comment. She found out what most cheaters do not or will not understand. The grass is dead when you cheat with another cheater. The whole relationship with cheaters are built on lies, deceptions, and ego. You are doing the right thing, and that's a wrap for today. Dear viewers, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss out. Until next time, take care, bye.
For more stories, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thanks.